right, so got to address something here. Been plugging away on this Prelude, obviously sanded down most of this side of the car, readdressed and painted over, removed and then primed over some of the rust around the fender well. Took all the inner fender liners off and started taking off the rear bumper so that way I could get access to the rust. There's a little bit behind there, and it's gonna come with a heavy heart that I gotta say I'm moving on from this Prelude. I picked this thing up back in 2018, 2019, right around there. I want to say 2018, possibly 2017. I'm losing track. It's been a long time, nearly, not quite, but pushing a decade working on this car. And it's time for me to let it go. I've been trying to tackle this bodywork now for probably 2 years since I started. I knew I should have started it sooner when I noticed the rust, but I couldn't bring myself to start such a massive project, and I'm glad I did start it. I, have already saved some of the panels that were starting to rust, and the rust hasn't come back. So, there is that. It hasn't been totally a waste of time working on the body of the car, but especially when I started going back to this rear fender, the fender itself is not too bad, but once you get down here towards the front of the fender and then underneath the rocker, there's literally a hole. And that part of the fender is pretty rusted out. Moving back towards the trunk, some more rust exists, and I don't want it to seem like, I guess I am technically giving up on it, but it's more forced than it may seem. You guys, if you've been watching the channel for a long time, I've always been working outside in the driveway. I finally have this garage kind of thing. It's really just a glorified kind of rundown barn, so it's still exposed to the weather, but I also don't have a ton of space. I don't have a door on the front, so I don't want to have a bunch of expensive tools. Where I'm getting at with this is I don't want to invest in a welder, all the welding equipment. I'd have to get a table to really work on, like a solid workbench. Stuff like a vise, probably some sort of an anvil, so I could kind of form and construct new pieces of metal, not to mention learning how to weld, which I would say, I haven't done it before, but I would guess that welding sheet metal is probably a little bit harder than if you were just to go stick weld a new tube bumper for your off-road vehicle. Because it's so thin, you really have to be careful, otherwise you're going to start burning through the metal. So just kind of coming up with excuses, but I wanted to let you guys know why I'm moving on from this car. And it's not that I don't want to see it finished. In fact, I would love nothing more than to see it finished. And I wish I had the space for it to, just keep in the background until I was ready to pick things back up. But unfortunately, I don't have that kind of room, and I don't have the tools to fix it. Welding, buying all the equipment is pretty expensive, and then to just teach myself how to do it without any help is pretty intimidating. Not to mention that a lot of this metal back here it's not just one sheet, it's multiple pieces that are, what is that called? Basically tack welded together. So once I start cutting out that, not only do I have to form one piece, but usually it's two pieces that I then have to form together. And then there's the whole ensuring that the rust doesn't come back on the new metal, finishing it and all that. And then obviously painting the whole car, which, to do it right, and I want to do it right, means taking everything off, taillights, bumpers, fenders, doors, trim, pulling out all the glass on the car, really taking it down to bare bones. And I don't have a place to do that very well. I mean, I can do it, but I risk breaking the glass as it's just sitting out here. A strong gust of wind comes and it'll blow it over. All the trim is pretty tough to get off without breaking it or breaking the clips underneath it. it can be done, but in a much more stable environment with a lot more tools than I have. So with that being said, I'm going to start piecing this thing back together. I have to put wheels back on, fender liners inside back on. A lot of this trim has to go back on, and I'm going to pull it out of the garage. And I haven't decided what I'm going to do as far as, I don't want to put it up for sale on just like Facebook or, you know, Craigslist or something like that. I'd love it to go to one of you guys. If any of you are out there and you feel confident that like, oh, I'm sure there are some of you out there who have experience on more in-depth bodywork and panel replacement and fabricating panels from scratch. Because keep in mind, you can't just go and buy new fenders for this thing and weld them in. You have to make everything from scratch. Anyways, I'm going to leave it up to you guys first. See if anybody out there is interested in picking up the 88 Prelude. It is, you know, needs work, but if you're willing to do it, it's going to be a solid car. And it's got a 2.0 S motor, which is the carbureted motor. You know, it still runs fine for the most part. I mean, it's a little finicky being carbureted because it's really tough to tune. But again, maybe some of you out there are far more familiar with carburetors and can get this thing running like, you know, a top again. So, or it'd make a great vehicle. And what I had intended is to motor swap it. During the bodywork paint process, I was going to pull the motor. That way I could clean up the entire engine bay and then have an entirely fresh chassis to paint and then put a new motor in. So that's still what I think would be the best route for this car, just because parts for the carbureted motor are pretty tough to come by. A lot of the specialized finicky parts that are discontinued from Honda. And, you know, it's solid. It just needs the right love and care. And I can't give it to it. So I want to see it go to a good home, and I'm going to be putting it up for sale. And yeah, that sucks. You know, I thought a lot about it, and I think it's the right move. I've given this car my best, and I think somebody else could do it better justice. So that's why I'm getting rid of it. And I'm going to be selling it. You know, it depends on the buyer. If the buyer wants the car plus the heritage wheels, the 3-piece wheels, we can figure out a price for both. If you want to just do like, you know, I'll just pick up some cheap 4x100 so you can at least drive it home or whatever, or trailer it onto it, or put it onto a trailer. You know, we can, I mean, the wheels are about as expensive as the car. So I would understand if you just wanted the car and not the wheels. So selling the car and selling the wheels, it could be a package or separate. So let me know if you're interested. And then also I can throw in the stock suspension, which will reduce the price of the car. And then if the buyer for the car wants to do that, I'll sell the Megan Racing coilovers, you know, separately. So a lot of wiggle room there. Definitely want to just make sure it goes to the right person. But, you know, 5-speed manual. The speedometer is finicky, so I don't truly know how many miles are on it, but I think the odometer is at like 90-something thousand. So, you know, that's pretty cool. And then the 5-speed I installed back about a year and a half ago now, and it's actually got a Fidanza flywheel in there. It's about a $600 flywheel, lightweight aluminum flywheel. So definitely helps with the pep in the step a little bit. And if you're going to keep this motor or put in like a fuel injected version or any 3rd-gen motor, this transmission will bolt up to, so you wouldn't have to get rid of it. And it would just be a motor swap at that point. So that's where I'm at, guys. Comes with a heavy heart, but it's time to put this thing back together so I can pull it out of the garage and put it under a cover and, you know, see if one of you guys wants to continue the legacy of this Prelude. But I've been talking for a lot, so I'm gonna get back to work here and put this thing together. And I do have a good surprise for you, so don't leave the video yet. I think you'll greatly appreciate it and enjoy it. So I'm gonna get back to work on this thing, try and get it ready to roll out of the garage, and then I'll show you guys the surprise. I got the headlight shrouds back on. I put on some of the trim here, and I got the door all put back together, put the mirror back on. I'm hesitant to put some of the trim back on because it's a real pain to get off, and I imagine the buyer is probably going to want to continue this body work, or at least throw some primer or something on it, whatever they intend to do with the car, and I don't want to have to force them to go and take that off once more. So, you know, if it comes down to it and you really want it back on for when you pick the car up, I'll put it on for you, but I figured it'd be easier to leave it off for now, so that way you don't have to take it back off and risk breaking more clips. And yep, looking decent. This sucks. You know, I definitely loved the vision I had for this car, and I think in its A-day, before the rust really started getting to it, it was so cool, and it can still be cool, but you know, I tried my best to work with what I had. So like the Accord body kit, I think looks really good on the 88 to 89. Basically the 88, 89 bumpers. I've got extra orange markers, a spare set. I've got an extra set of taillights. I've got an extra set of fog lights to go with it. So, you know, you're gonna get the front lip. I've got the side skirts and the rear lip already on there. And yes, this thing's gonna make somebody a good home. I don't think it's for me. This is the big news. Although I am ending my story with the 88 Prelude, I bought my third gen Prelude. And for anybody who doesn't know, that one in the garage was my first one. I also picked up another third gen, more so as a parts car, and I ended up pulling the manual transmission out of it to do the swap and sold it as a parts car. And then now I'm the proud owner of a 1991 Honda Prelude SI. So it's almost everything that mine doesn't have. It's obviously the facelift, so it's got different front and rear bumpers, or different front bumper, and the different taillights on the back, so it doesn't have the orange. It's got the clear and red. It's an SI, so it's fuel injected, no more dual carburetors for me. And obviously I went ahead and put my wheels on it, which look absolutely ridiculous at this ride height, but I wanted to see what they would look like before I decided to sell them. But I think I'm just going to go a different route for wheels, and not gonna lie, this third gen was extremely out of my budget, but I'll explain why it's worth it. And anyways, so the wheels, I got to recoup some money, and these wheels were expensive, so if I can sell them and recoup a little bit of money, that's what I'm gonna do. But this is, like I said, a 1991 Honda Prelude SI. It's white with a black interior. One of you guys actually tipped me off to this thing being for sale. Oh, before I forget, it's got a red badge on it, which I think is pretty hard to find. But it's got obviously the 1990, 1991 front bumper. It's white, which I love. It just looks so sporty. It's got 86,000 original miles. I found this I was sent this listing from a buddy, and the listing was for this thing out of Santa Fe, New Mexico. So I pulled some strings, figured out how to get out there, and drove it back through basically almost all of New Mexico, part of Texas, and then I went to Oklahoma, and then through Arkansas, and then finally back home here in Tennessee. And this thing is mint condition. There's little dents and things on it here and there, but there's absolutely no rust on it. It was garage kept, and that's why I want to get that one out so I can keep this thing garage kept. But obviously mine was plagued by fender rust and all that, and this thing is just absolutely mint. No rust. Like I said, a couple dents and dings. Not uncommon for a 34-year-old car, but No fender rust, no rocker panel rust. It is solid. The interior is also completely, let me pop the sun visor here, get a little more light in, but the interior is all there in OEM. It's got power windows. It's actually got a alarm on it, so it's got power locks with a key fob. It's got the OEM stereo still. It's got the clock cover. It's got cruise control. I mean, this thing is just, it's beautiful. And I love these seats. They're hard, maybe you can tell. Yeah, it's just got that like hint of blue and gray in them. Absolutely love them. So all the bits and pieces are here. It's not something that I'm gonna have to sit there like I did on my old one and locate parts and spend all this time. I actually get to enjoy the 3rd gen Prelude again. I spent a little bit of time today just buffing the or waxing the hood and this fender just to kind of see what I was working with, and this paint's in great shape. I mean, I don't know how well you can see that on camera, but this car is just, it's New Mexico. It's lived in New Mexico its entire life, so it's never seen really salt or probably snow for that matter, and it's great. There's a couple dents on this door that need to be taken care of, and this trim piece in the middle is a little scuffed up and needs to be replaced, but there's no rust. I've also got the OEM wheels all there. It's missing one center cap, but figured I would take them off just to see how my Heritage wheels fit on them. Grab the old sitting bucket. And now I know some of you are going to be upset that we'll call it giving up on the 1988. But, you know, I've spent a lot of time working on that Prelude. I miss just driving a Prelude. That's why I bought the car initially. I didn't want to get into body work and all that stuff. I wanted a cool car that I could work on and modify, more importantly, upgrade, and not spend all my time with a drill and a wire brush cutting out rust. So call me selfish, call me stupid, whatever you want to put down in the comments. I am super excited about this car because it's honestly everything that one is not for me. It doesn't have 4-wheel steer, could be swapped later, might be kind of cool. But for now, I'm going to keep this thing in as good, if not better shape than the day I bought it. I'm so excited to have this thing. I've driven it obviously across country. Drives great. One of the issues, like the notorious 3rd gen issue, is the speed sensor goes out. So with it being a 1990-91, it's got the electronic speed sensor, not the cable or mechanical like the 88-89 model does. So anyway, speed sensor on this is not working. It comes in and out, and sometimes the speedo will work, but that also means that the cruise control doesn't work while the speedo is not working. There were times on my drive from New Mexico where the speedo was working and cruise control worked fine and everything was great, but you know, speed sensor is no good. So I'm gonna have to figure out if that's a wiring issue or see if I can look at the back of the cluster to see if it's something that's kind of coming loose on the backside or what. But that's really the only issue with this thing. Outside of that, everything works. Everything is there and accounted for. And I'm just so excited. I want to do this car different than this car. So I have some great plans for it. One, I want to probably swap out the suspension on it. And this time around, I'm thinking I'm going to go back to my old F30 days, and I'd love to run some air ride on this Prelude. I think, one, it would be so comfortable to drive as a cruiser on a bagged setup, and then also having the adjustability to not scrape things. You know, if I'm coming up, and we have some really steep, crazy like driveways here in Tennessee, so to not have to worry about that and be able to air it up to probably this level or higher with the air ride, and then also lower it and, you know, air out for parking spots, that would be really cool. And also kind of acts as a security measure. If you set it up the right way, you know, people can't drive away or steal your wheels because you're completely aired out, and you would lose the ability to turn without totally wrecking the front end of the car. So a lot of good reasons to run air ride, and I do miss it back from my F30 days. I really loved the adjustability, how you could customize it completely and just get the perfect ride and also a great, comfortable ride and sporty. I mean, it holds up great. A lot of good things to say about air rides. So that is something I want to do for this car. The bumpers, front and back, are probably the worst body panels on it. Besides this door is going to need some work, ding wise. But the bumpers, you know, a little bit of scrapes and stuff here on the lower lip, and the rear bumper has a nice, just like a black mark across it that maybe someone backed into something or someone drove into this Prelude. It's not dented, but it's scuffed up pretty good. So what I'm thinking also is running a body kit for this, and something I've looked at would be the Caminari kit, which is, I believe, a plastic. I'm losing the my train of thought on the name of it, but the type of plastic. But the KBD kit would be another option, but Caminari, KBD, and those would actually sit right over this bumper from here, from this trim down. So that way, and the reason I like that idea is, one, I'm keeping the OEM bumper on it. And that way, if I ever want to take the kit off and return this car to like totally stock, that's going to not be an issue. And I don't intend to like drill in. I'll figure out a nice clean way to mount the kit without wrecking the body. So that way, if and when I want to remove it, I can totally do that and return to the stock form. But I think a paint matched lip kit for this vehicle would look so good, especially on air. Having the front and rear bumpers and then also the side skirt kind of flares. I think this car needs that, and that's why I did the basically the junkyard Accord kit on my 88. And this time I want to do it a little bit nicer and run an actual body kit that's made for the 3rd gen Prelude. The other one I was looking at, and I've started talking to Polly Bauer about doing that kit that they run for this 3rd gen Prelude. They're out of Germany, and it's a fiberglass kit. So I believe it would actually entirely replace the front and rear bumpers and then also the side skirts, but it's fiberglass. So one, shipping is going to be insanely expensive, about the same cost as the kit itself to get it over to the States. Fiberglass, so you chip it, you're going to have to repair it, whereas the plastic bumpers are a lot more forgiving. But if I went that route, again, great to have air rides, so that way I can air up and not mash the front bumper or anything on, you know, steep driveways and things of that nature. So, you know, paint matched body kit would look great on it, air ride. I want to change up the wheels and do a different setup, but I think for now I'm going to put these wheels back on the 88 and put these stock wheels back on this. And once I do the air ride, I'll just run the stocks. I think that's such a cool look. Stock bodies, stock wheels, but then aired out. I love that look. I think it's so classy. What else? There was something else I wanted to talk about. Oh, the Polly Bauer kit also has a really, really nice looking spoiler, and it really ties together the whole kit. And I'm not sure, again, which kit I want to go with. It's way down the line. I'm basically going to do this like air ride or suspension, probably wheels, and then the kit. So that's kind of the plan. There's a few parts I want to take off of this Prelude, one being the adjustable tow arms, and I'll probably put the stock rear tow arms from this one onto that one, and then take the adjustable ones, just because you can't buy them anymore, and I don't want to not have access to those parts, especially lowering the car. It definitely helps with getting the alignment right. So I want to get the tow arms off of it. I want to get my C-pillar brace off of it, because that's just a bolt-on direct fit, and I love the look of it, and it, for whatever it's worth, stabilizes the rear end a little bit, you know. But I think it looks really sporty, and I really like the look of it. I actually don't know if you can buy them anymore, so want to take that with me too. And then I'm just so stoked, man. So stoked to have a clean Prelude that I can enjoy driving on the daily, and then also work on modifying it and making it my own without having this huge looming cloud over my head, which was rust, and constantly having to fix that. So I want to give that thing a good home. Let me know down in the comments if you're interested in either the Heritage wheels that are on this thing right now, or the car itself, or if you want it all. You can do the car, the coilovers, and the wheels all together. So let me know. Located in southeastern Tennessee, if you want to pick it up or bring a trailer. That's the plan, guys. But say, oh, I almost forgot. His name is Panda, and that is the name that it was given by the previous family that owned it. It was driven by an older gentleman and his wife, and I think it was their grandkids possibly that called it Panda. So that's the name it's going to stick with. And Panda, welcome to the party. So hope you guys enjoyed it. I will have finally more Prelude content coming up in the future, both on this thing, and then I'll keep you guys posted on what's up with the 88. But very excited to get back to the roots of this channel. I'm still going to be doing the truck stuff, the truck camper. I've got the rear bumper still en route, so back to Prelude things. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love you all. Keep elevating, my friends. Adios.